Next up is my top 10 list of things to do to become an amazing guitarist. We are all the way up to number 2. So, tip number 2 is form a band. Get together with others to share your music. I don't think that the importance of playing live is controversial. If someone denies the value of playing with others, it's typically because they haven't had that experience yet. If you've played live on a regular basis, there's no doubt that you understand the value. So most of this is for the rest of you. Benefit 1 is you'll improve faster when you're responsible to others. When you have a band rehearsal each week, there is a deadline for you to know your parts. Otherwise, you can sit in your practice area and never need to accurately perform what you've been working on because there is no deadline. There's no need to learn songs from beginning to end because no one will ever hear them from beginning to end. Benefit 2, when you're performing with others, you don't want to let them down. Not only that, you want to impress them. And the third benefit is you learn from the other players in your band. They will bring a different perspective to your music. Their comments and criticisms will make you a better player. The fourth and most important benefit is playing with others quickly exposes your weaknesses. If you're playing something incorrectly, it will be obvious. Music isn't about you sitting in a room playing songs that no one will ever hear. Music is about you fitting in your instrument with other players. There is a tremendous conversation that happens between live musicians performing together. There is no substitute for this experience. The surest way of exposing flaws is to put pressure on an experience. You're not going to find the leak in a flat tire without literally putting pressure on the leak. You're also not going to have a true indication of your ability to play guitar until you put pressure on your skills. You will find weaknesses, fix them, then move on. You'll also be forced outside of your musical comfort zone because you're not going to be choosing every tune. That will be a band effort. Some songs that you play will be unlike anything that you've ever played before because they're chosen by other musicians. And that's when you're going to grow as a musician. That's when you'll learn aspects of playing music that otherwise would go untested. I know that many people are too shy to perform in front of others. That's understandable. We've all experienced some form of performance anxiety. Starting for me, when I did book reports in grade school. I can't think of anything that made me more nervous than that, but we also know how to overcome it. Be prepared. Know your parts and be willing to share your music with others, starting small. Just you and one or two other people, then gradually expand the size of the group and eventually begin performing for others. Even then, start small and only expand as you become comfortable. Performance anxiety is something that you can learn to overcome. Doing this is a gradual process like everything else associated with becoming a musician. When you first begin performing, expectations will be low, and you'll probably live up to that. That's part of the process. When I first began performing live, I was a rhythm guitarist. It wasn't by choice. I hadn't learned how to play lead guitar yet. My first few performances were totally in the background. Eventually, I hit the road with a band, and as the only guitarist in the lineup, I had no choice but to step up to the plate. For yourself, initially set the bar low. Don't expect to play anything with other musicians that is too challenging. As time passes, you'll begin to feel comfortable and even enjoy playing more difficult songs. In the beginning, choose simple tunes and jam on easy chord progressions. If you're playing with other musicians that have already been rehearsing together, focus on staying in your comfort zone. You don't need to fly up and down the neck, play in a single position, and don't push the envelope when it comes to speed. If you're nervous about a part, figure out a way to simplify it. These same tips hold true when your band decides to perform publicly. The first few songs of your set should be the easiest material from your song list. Usually, the audience actually appreciates simple music because it's easier to dance to. In my first band, we began the evening with a basic version of Honky Tonk Woman. The drummer began with a distinctive cowbell beat, then everybody joined in. The crowd loved it, and it was so easy to play that we became comfortable very quickly. After 20 minutes of easy stuff, begin to play some more challenging tunes. By that time, you will have burned through the initial adrenaline rush. I've written a couple of popular articles on forming a band and even one about forming an adult band. You can find these in the articles section of our website. Let's get started with today's lesson. We'll start with exercise 1, a great place to start, I might add. Exercise 1 is a chord progression called Arrival. This one will help you become more comfortable playing bar chords. So we haven't had a lot of practice with bar chords up until now. Exercise 1 changes that. It's not too difficult. Let's see how you do with this one. Exercise 2 is another chromatic exercise. Chromatic, as I explained last week, is playing every single note. Chromatic. So for this exercise, play open, open, you will be doing alternate picking. Play the exercise on all strings, even though it's only demonstrated on the first string. Play it up to the 12th fret, and even play it back down to the open string. And a very important thing to remember is proper fingering technique. Leave each finger down until you need to pick it up. Try to move the fingers off the strings as little as possible. The pinky will always misbehave a bit. Okay, here's exercise 2 with the tablature. Exercise 3 demonstrates a sliding technique. Very, very simple. And you will gradually increase pressure as you're sliding. You don't go. You pluck it as your finger is moving. Exercise 3 begins with a pickup note, and that's the 8th note of the preceding measure. Not as complicated as it sounds. The 8th note is the and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That is the pickup, 4 and, before the downbeat or the first beat of the next measure. So the lick starts on the pickup note. the upbeat. You also need to pay attention to the fingering on this one. Exercise 4 features a few bends and pull-offs. The pull-offs utilize the bar, like this. So it begins with a bend. And then I'm playing those notes using the bar. It's good to end this with a little vibrato on the bend, and that's just small bends. Here's exercise 4 with the tablature. Exercise 5 is from my speed and accuracy program. It's in E natural minor, a scale that you haven't learned yet, but soon you will, and by that time, you'll be ready. The tablature is played at 110 beats per minute. If you've only been playing guitar for 4 months, this will be challenging. When you've got it to, say, 80 beats per minute, you've accomplished this lesson. Gradually over the next month, practice this, and you'll be shredding on it. This is in E natural minor, and it goes something like this. Here is exercise 5 with the tablature. Exercise 5 features alternate picking all the way through, and you're also playing eighth note triplets. That's the end of this lesson. I think you'll find this one to be quite challenging. See you next week.